I think
okay, we're live because I just got the notification.
Oh, same.
Yay. Thank you. Got water.
We are
Hello,
live.
everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Just gonna give a few seconds for people to get notifications and stuff. And put it on Instagram. Everyone smile.
That too.
Me as well.
I've just got
a lovely start all the time. How are you guys? How is everything?
Swell. I'll be the first to answer. Swell. Everything is swell. I'm still really hungry, but swell. How's
We
everyone?
might have been like speaking for half an hour already, so not about the book. We saved that.
Hi, Dex. There's a dog that's just come in here. Hey, puppy.
Hello, puppy.
Oh, show me the puppy.
Hey, everyone in the chat. Hello.
Puppy dog.
Hello.
Oh, doggo.
Hey. Hi. Oh my God. Hello.
That is so adorable.
This was unplanned.
Yes, perfect. Hey, buddy. Hey, Cara. Oh, so many lovely people. Okay, shall we then go ahead with the nominations for the next quarter, which is going to be spring? I'm getting my seasons right for the first time. Oh, hey, Cam.
He does exist.
Hey, look, Cam's here.
You
I'm
guys
just watching from
get your
work.
ass here for the next time. I'm kidding. It's fine if you can.
Cam says we're on mute, so he's basically like just seeing us but not hearing what we're saying. Good,
That's
because
how
this is going to be a mess.
That was last time for me.
Prepare yourselves for total chaos. All right, so spring quarter. Let's just start with the nominations. So I'm just going to mention what people who are not here with us today nominated. So Anna is, I think, joining us a little bit later, but because she said she's going to be a little bit late from work, her nomination was Half of a Yellow Sun. Don't know what that is about.
I've not heard of this one before.
Then Ashley's is The Cruel Prince, and Lauren's is
Ooh.
Shadow of the Wind.
I'm
And
only heard of one of those.
huh? None of them.
One of them.
Okay, and then on to Bex then.
Oh. I changed my mind at the last minute. So my nomination is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I can't say the last name. I'm sorry.
It's standard for me. Do you know what it's about, like, roughly?
Oh, no. No idea.
I did hear a lot about this book, though. Like, there's a lot of people recommending it, so...
It's got magic in it, and, you know, that's my thing, so...
Is it actually released worldwide? I wasn't sure if that had actually been released yet.
I probably should have checked, shouldn't I?
Probably.
I don't think it's released in Australia, but I bought mine online.
Right.
Oh, cool.
I'll Google it, and if it's not released worldwide, I'll pick another one.
Fine.
It's
Taylor?
good,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sticking with Invictus by Ryan Crowden.
You're just gonna do it until it gets picked.
Really, because I accidentally bought that.
I'm not sure if this is cheating, but I will allow because I also have it.
I don't even have it yet, but I really want to read it with you guys. Why?
So cheeky. Love it. Do you know what this is about?
Oh, no.
All right, so as far as I know, I don't know much about it, but I know that it's about some type of time traveling.
Ooh.
I think there's that involved, and I think it's a sci-fi. I mean, like, it must be.
Yeah.
A lot of people liked it.
Someone in
Yeah.
the chat is also saying that it's space and time travel.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Oh, we like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's one of her like favorite books.
And theory.
Oh,
I have high hopes.
And thievery. Wow.
I feel like I have to say it's been Taylor's nomination for officially half a year now because this is her birthday, and she doesn't know what it's about.
I like this time frame of ours. Like the 4th stream that we're gonna do is gonna be a year anniversary.
Oh yeah, that's insane,
right?
I do love that we have like a lot of time to figure stuff out. So that's nice. I think it's good. Right, Em?
I don't have a nomination this time.
Oh yeah,
I don't
sorry.
Yeah,
yeah. Em is like Em has been really, really bad, so we just not let her vote.
Oh, you hit me and go. Like it's fine.
No, really, I'm not. I am. No, I'm not. Just because her nomination got picked last time, so whoever gets picked doesn't participate in the next one, so other people would get a chance, sort of, because it's all random. So it could be just one person for like a year, which is, 4 times, but it sounds very impressive when you say it like that. Jade?
I am going to nominate This Mortal Coil by Emily Sudeva, whatever her name is. That. And I actually do know roughly what it's about, like gene modification and a girl that can hack genes, and there's like a disease. And I don't typically read dystopian, but it's dystopian.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yay!
I also own it, so I'm okay with that choice. I did have one person comment that they were really unhappy, but because I think they were educated in that field, which I'm not, so I might like it.
Not educated in genetics.
It does sound very intriguing, though. I mean, I got it. I think I get it. I got it when we're together.
When we're together, yeah, you did.
Sweet. Jess?
I want to do The Librarian of Auschwitz by Antoni.
I'm not gonna know how to spell that, but I'll put the librarian in.
I really like it. It sounds really cool. It's about a girl who's in Auschwitz, and she's kind of entrusted to keep libraries alive within the concentration camp. It's based on it's like based on a true story. So I thought that was really cool.
Am I gonna cry? I feel like I'm gonna cry.
Well,
yeah,
so that would be
like I'm gonna not enjoy that story if it gets picked.
Sorry, I
wonder how that feels, Em.
Shut up.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah,
the fight is coming. The fight is coming.
Yeah.
Calls her out.
That sounds really cool. I've never heard of it, but I'm all for that. One of my favorite books from like Lithuanian authors is like the
is it Forest of the Gods?
Forest of the Gods, and it's,
oh my god,
yeah,
God, that book was so sad,
but also super funny.
I mean, yeah, but
as it's of the style of writing, but it's soul crushing.
It is, yeah.
Also about a concentration camp, but it was really memorable. So
yeah, like some parts that I like, they're still like very vivid in my brain from the book. Anyway, we're not talking about this book right now.
Yes, so I suppose me then. Isa has it here. Oh, recognize it, Jess?
Yes. Yay! I'll reread it.
Yeah, so this is We Are the Ants.
I want to read that one as well.
Yeah.
So good.
I don't know too much about it. I know you do, but for all I know, that there's the main character is
LGBT. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some sort of all moral dilemmas and also aliens, so I'm all for it.
I've heard that it's a dark book, and a lot of people have enjoyed like the emotional aspect of this book. So I would be very excited to read that.
I think it's like about like this guy gets taken by the aliens, and then gets to decide would like push a button to save the world or not, and he's in the dark place that it might not be his choice to save the world, and it just sounds super cool.
I went into it because it was a contemporary, and I was like, oh, I don't like contemporary, and a friend gave it to me, and it ended up being so much more than that. It was my favorite book of 2017. Yeah, he gets abducted like all the time. It's hilarious, but
he gets abducted by aliens. It's funny.
Contemporary.
It's very funny. I'm sorry. It's hilarious because they leave him in random spots naked, and it's funny. I didn't read it.
Fair enough.
I hope I win.
When you said that, I was gonna spit it all over my laptop.
Sorry.
Cam, do you have a nomination if you're still here? Because You
Can
didn't
he
tell
hear
me.
us?
He said we were on mute, so I don't know if
Oh.
he can hear us.
What? I'm sorry.
Somebody ask him in the chat.
Yeah, I just did.
Yeah, but if you can't hear us, then. Oh, you mean type?
Also, mine's not releasing
Yeah, it's
everywhere.
late here, okay? We'll wait for a few seconds in case he replies, and then if not, then we'll just go ahead with it. Yeah.
Oh, he
He
is
said,
still.
Oh, he is here. Okay. So yeah, and then I'm just gonna run the thing. I like the choices.
Mine's not out in the UK, I don't think, by the way.
I didn't think it was.
Do you want to change it then to something else?
Yeah, I probably should.
Want to change it to We Are the Ants? I mean, it's up to you.
More chances. I did have an original one that Jade and I talked about, but I can't remember what it was.
Was it?
Everless by Sarah Holland or something like that, I think.
Do you want me to put that in then?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I'll nominate City of Brass next time.
I thought it was
Sorry that we're behind in, book releases.
I was so excited about it.
Oh, Cam is asking for a second. He's going to check his TBR.
Someone prepared.
It's all right. We've got all night. We can just wait.
It's only 11 o'clock. Well,
Yeah,
it's 11 p.m., right?
Check out what that half of a yellow sun is, because I've
Never
not heard of it.
I really want to read the We Are the
Groups, and
Ants.
it's making me happy.
I'm gonna read this either way, even if it gets picked up, I think.
I demand that you read that, like, now.
Demand
Right now.
Now. Okay, well, you guys go on then.
Did I send that to you? No.
No. I got that one.
I sent it to someone else. This is on purpose.
It's floppy though, so
Yeah.
it's not the floppiest, but it's floppy.
Yeah. My friend sent me a paperback because she's like, the floppy paperback is the best. I'm like, yes.
All paperbacks should be floppy paperbacks. Like, can there be a law?
Yeah.
People in the chat making their own book club.
These ones are my least favorite. They're like the big massive.
Yeah, they're so stiff.
And you can't like hold, like, I don't know. You break the spine on them automatically.
What did you say, Jade?
There are people in the chat making their own book club because they want to be part of a book club with multiple people. I think it's amazing.
That's what I said. They're so, I think it's sweet.
Yeah,
Lovely.
it's fun. It's
Bringing people together.
fun.
Book clubs are so much fun, though. Like, I encourage this highly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it would be for me a bit too much if it was like monthly though, like this type of thing. I can only handle you guys like 4 times per year.
How dare you?
Not even all of us each time either.
Because we have other book clubs, some of us, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and some of us read like ants. So ants?
Ants?
Let's go with
Tiny?
that. Let's go with that.
Let's go
Um,
with it. It's too late to make sense.
Never let me go. Here you go, Em.
There's Never Let Me Go.
Yeah, that's Cam's choice.
Yay! That was going to be my nomination.
Yeah.
Like-
You get it even when you don't.
I win.
If this gets picked, it's going to be
I will
literally Em's choice for half a year. All right, so I'm gonna.
Technically, it won't
How
be.
did I do it last time? I don't think that I can screen share. Can I? Maybe. Wait.
You did it on your phone last time.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
you just showed your.
Oh, idiot. Well, I already set it up on the laptop, so I'll take a picture. I feel like I could maybe screen share. Okay, whatever. Just trust me. Okay, you guys
We
ready?
trust you.
We're ready.
I'm nervous.
I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna click on it and then take a photo.
I'm excited and nervous.
It's done. Wait. Need to see what I'm doing. Do you see it?
Finally.
Is that like the other way around for you guys? I don't know. But it's Taylor and Invictus.
I was so excited.
I'm excited because I've been really wanting to read this book and also time travel.
Yeah,
Bye.
I like this nomination.
Yay.
I'm pleased.
Yep. I'm excited.
Good stuff.
Me too.
Yeah, so that's gonna be for why are we so unprepared? What is the date? It's May, right?
Is it May? That's a bit, yeah, April.
April the 28th is the last Saturday of April, so same time,
20,
same place.
11 p.m. Well,
funny.
that's booked and ready.
Requesting
yeah.
it off now.
Very
Very important meeting I have to go to.
Is it? Oh yeah, Taylor. This was like chosen last time, but then we didn't include M's, I think, or something, and then or someone.
Remember, that's why I ended up buying it, and you were like, "Wait, don't buy it because it's not the book." Because I was at work watching the stream.
Well, hey, it all turned out well.
I remember getting home and I was watching the whole live stream back. I was screaming like, "Yeah, so excited!" I'm like,
It just robbed you.
right.
So yeah, so I think this is it for the spring bit. We're gonna make like separate videos announcing this, hopefully the next week or something like that. But if you haven't read the book and you just came out for this bit here and you don't want to be spoiled, then this is probably the best time for you guys to leave. We love you. Please don't leave. No, it's okay. You can go.
Yeah, there will be spoilers after this.
Yeah.
It's about to get real.
Spoilers. Yeah.
The claws are about to come out from all of us, I think.
We tried not to speak about what we felt about the book before the live stream because we want to like sort of share here. But we know sort of like general feelings of some of us. And we think it's gonna be, you know how last time it was most people a bit like kind of meh about Nevernight, and I was the only one sort of like, I think it's okay.
This time.
So it's gonna be M, I think, this time. But yeah, we'll speak about that. So we're gonna go one by one again for the order that I see on my screen. And we're just gonna say what rating we gave and just some general thoughts and Felix. And Felix.
Felix.
Yeah, and then I suppose we're just gonna go into less structured chat afterwards if we catch some things that we don't want to speak about. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, just shoot them in the bar there. So yeah, first up, should I just switch it up now for the fun of it?
Yep.
Yeah. Nah.
Do it. Switch it up. Oh god. I don't like speaking first, but I'm gonna wing it. So as you may know, I didn't love it. I was intrigued, but I think originally I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, but when I wrote my review, it went down to a 2 because I was just, my review wasn't very good. Yeah, the characters were all right, but it was just really slow.
Nice.
You don't have to censor yourself here. Just like fill it all, okay? I can take it.
Yeah, no, it was so slow.
Mm-hmm.
And the first half was like just death. But I read really quickly, so I think I still got it over with in like 4 days. But it was not enjoyable for me.
Fair
as
enough.
As a whole unit, it wasn't enjoyable.
Taylor?
I was kind of the same. I don't know if my problem was I also listened to it on audiobook because I had like a free credit and I was like, why not? But it was so hard listening to it. But then it was also funny like to hear her talk everybody's different voices too.
Oh, but did they have like a full cast?
Yeah, and she was just like, when she was getting into the guy, she was trying to go low and it like wasn't happening and I was trying to concentrate on trying to like talk about.
Oh, so
I don't know if that like hindered it either, but it was a little rough. But I don't know, some parts I liked and they were funny.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about them in detail, I suppose, later. Em? Hold
All right, well.
Yeah.
I think, well, my rating is actually 3 stars, and I'm gonna like explain like all of my reasons why I think I enjoyed it more than the rest of you, because I feel like for most of you the problem was the pacing of the story, because a lot of you said that it was very slow in the beginning for you.
Yeah.
But if you've seen any of my like my last 3 videos on YouTube, like I've been saying that I've been moving away from YA and fantasy and more into like general fiction overall, and like those books in general are very much slower paced and more character focused, and this book was precisely that as well. So I had no problem with the pacing at all. I actually found the beginning more interesting than the end. I was kind of disappointed with the ending, of course I was. I was really disappointed with the lack of character depth. I thought like these characters had potential, and I thought that if they were explored deeper, their stories would have been really interesting to know. Like the characters like Marina, like I wanted to know more about her. I wanted to know more about the miniaturist, but we didn't get that. So obviously I was disappointed. My edition is the Lithuanian translation. And it sounds really weird to say this, but like reading in Lithuanian adds more to the enjoyment for me to read it in this language versus English. It's really hard to explain like the feeling I get when I read in a different language, but extra there. So I feel like that also added to my enjoyment. And also last year I spent a lot of time in Amsterdam, and there was a nostalgia feeling for me when I was reading this book, because I could picture everything so vividly and everything was so rich, and literally all of my senses were active when I was reading the story. So like smell, sounds, like everything was always present for me. So that was also part of the experience for me. And I feel like that is the reason why I enjoyed overall this book more than the rest of you did. Because like I was in Amsterdam when I was reading it.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 cents.
Cool. Jade?
It was slow. I was bored for the first. Again, it was like the first 300 pages. Like same as I said with Nevernight. Like I get to 300 pages and then it picked up a bit. I completely agree with what Em said about characters were not very deep. There wasn't much. There was so much potential, as you said, with Marin. Like she was such a bitch, and I wanted there to be more depth to her and why and more development, and there just wasn't. The end was a complete blow. Like there was no conclusion. I was deeply dissatisfied. I originally gave it 3 stars, but I think looking back on it and after we've discussed it, I would not be surprised if that star rating just drops to 2, maybe even less, because it's not memorable. As I say, I read it quite a while ago now, and I genuinely am struggling to remember what happened.
Fair. Jess?
I decided to wait until like the month of to read it because I didn't want to forget anything, and I finished it like a week and a half ago, and I've already forgotten most of it. But it took me forever. Like I think I was at 129 pages for half of the week that I was reading it. It just took me forever to get through. I like the second half more than the first half though. Like even though the characters were really shallow, I feel like because the first half was so slow that once the second half started picking up, I was like much more into it. I think I read the second half in like 2 days or something like that, but I gave it 2 stars. Although I would have given it higher had everything kind of been like the end of the book, like the pacing of the end of the book, it could have been like a 3 for me, but because it was so slow, it was a 2. I didn't like it at all. Like at all. And I see someone said it's a historical fiction and not magical realism, but I went into it thinking it's magical realism, so maybe that's why I didn't like it as much as I thought I was going to, because there was no magic and nothing was explained and the characters are really shallow.
That was exactly my point for the, I think, again, I didn't really manage my expectations right. I was very intrigued by the book, and I knew that it's going to be a historical fiction to an extent because of, the synopsis. However, I just found that the first half of the book, and you know me, I'm completely fine with slow books. I really, really am. I don't need any action. I am so a character person, but the characters were very, very lacking. Although, as you said, like they did really have potential, and I was especially interested in the is it Otto?
Yeah, Otto.
Yeah, and the maid, basically the help.
Yeah.
I was especially interested in them. And remember, I just felt like we were given hints about something that is happening, even when she's meeting with the pastry lady and she's saying, I think it's happening again. And then we get those little miniatures and they're so, perfectly replicated of what's happening in the future. And there's some sort of magic in there. And the title is Miniaturist. So I feel like it was setting my expectations to be a fantasy sort of, or just, somehow magical. And then at the end, the miniatures was almost irrelevant to the story. I felt like it did nothing other than add the atmosphere. And I felt kind of like misled by that and a little bit annoyed because it didn't conclude, as you said, Jade. And so I really think that half of the book, until the dog dies, is completely, you can take it away and you will have the same story. Then the dog died and I had to stop for 3 or 4 days because the dog died. The dogs were the only characters that I actually cared for in that book because they're dogs and they were really cute and they were actually
I was not ready for it.
I wouldn't say screen time, but the book time. They were described and they were nice. And then the guy stabs him. This book was nothing happens. And then we hit the chapter and, oh, look, this dog has a knife in his skull now. I was like, where did this even come from? What is happening? So then I had to stop for a little bit. And then after that, I felt like it was a completely different book, a much better book, in my opinion. I did enjoy the bits where they had described the food. You did feel like you're there, sort of. It was very European. Because some of the things were really similar to what we had in Lithuania years ago. So I enjoyed that aspect. But I just felt like it was very misleading. I was not happy with the miniaturist bit because there was nothing about it.
Someone just said in a comment, it felt like a side story to the main story, but we never got the main story. And I think that is so accurate.
I was actually going to point that out as well now, because I feel like a lot of the page time was dedicated to things I didn't care about. I wanted to know more about these other things and all of these people and what was happening behind the scenes.
I think that's another thing that upset me about the book is the big turning point for me was when she walks in on her husband with the other man. Yeah. But I feel like things in the book happened. I get that things suddenly happen in books, but I feel like everything from that point on was so sudden. Marin dying, her husband walking in, Otto leaving, all of these things that end up happening were just so sudden. And then the biggest example I have is when Marin dies, she doesn't even, it's I came home and she was gone, and that was it. And it really upset me because I feel like everything that happened in the book, that's kind of just how it was. With the dog dying, it was the same way. With her walking in on her husband, it was just this thing happened and now we're moving on. And I'm I need a little bit more than just you. I feel like it was thrown in there to make the story more interesting. And
I actually do have to add as a positive to the book. I did end up giving it 2 stars, which is, quite low. But I do have to point out that I really appreciated sort of not sugarcoating. Sugar. Okay, let's come back to that point. Not sugarcoating the just grim realities of the time. So all of the wrong names for racial stuff. And just absolute cruelty towards gay people. Just the whole bit. It was just so. It was quite shocking, but the way that characters acted as if it was normal, because it was. It was very refreshing to me because it wasn't dramatized. It was just this is just what happens, Clearly they still cared, but I actually did really enjoy that part, and the birth bit was just gruesome, but I appreciate it for it. It was just lacking in other aspects that I couldn't really bump up the rating. But I don't hate this book. That's what I'm saying. I just felt like it had I think the main problem was me expecting completely different story, but I blame the book for having the title that is completely misleading.
I don't think it's hate at all. It's just dissatisfaction. There was no satisfying element to it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's hate.
Yeah. There was nothing rewarding when you got to the end. You were just left with confusion for the most part. Oh, and I forgot. I had a point, but I forgot it.
Someone's asking if this was her first book. No, I think she's written something else that was quite well known.
It's called The Muse.
The Muse, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can I come back to the sugar, please? this was like
Yes,
the
you can.
sugar took
Yeah.
so much of the book.
Yeah.
I think I ranted to Bex a little bit there because I was like, I'm just at the point when they like spend like 3 pages in the party talking about the sugar. I was like, I'm glad they're like taking them out of the system because I really I don't care about the sugar. And, like the sugar was like basically the main point, and I just so didn't care about the sugar trade. There were so many details that I was just like, why stop talking about the sugar?
Wasn't there like a whole chapter where they just discussed each of them having a slice of the sugar?
With the vanilla taste.
The shading of a sugar. I just know way too much about like sugar trade. And I know it sounds
in the
like
1600s.
just like it, but there were bits that I really appreciate, especially just the gory bits and just the cruelty. I know a lot of you guys said that you really didn't like the ending. I actually that's the only bit that I really do like, because I like open endings and I like it when it's not like all happy ending. I know this was like none of the happy ending.
I like the way, I don't like the way it was ended, but I like that it was them left and then the thought of them being able to do something with that. I like that. I just don't like the way they went about it, if that makes sense. Like, I also don't like how the Miniaturist had her name and it was never explained why they have the same name, even though they're like, oh, it's a really uncommon name, but we have the exact same name. Like, can somebody explain, is she supposed to be this person? Like, it didn't make any sense to me.
I think the ending annoyed me the most because I felt like everything didn't have a point. Like, you know, I don't know any names anymore, but the lady died, he died, you know, we lost a dog, we lost a bird, and then it was just like, okay, like I felt like her dying, giving birth had a point, but then it didn't. And I was like, oh, okay, everyone dies, good eye.
I mean, Otto coming back is sweet. But one thing that really sort of annoyed me, because so Nella basically delivered the baby, and then she's holding the baby for like what I assume is like at least like an hour, and they're like just like doing stuff with birth related things. Very knowledgeable about that. And then she leaves, and I understand it, like, but they cleaned the baby and everything. So like they held the baby, and then she comes back after almost telling the guy that it's his baby. And then she comes back the next day, oh wait, this baby is like mixed race. It's like, how do you not notice that before?
When a baby is born, they're usually very red.
Okay.
Like, no matter what race they are, they're generally quite red.
Okay, fair
Jade
enough.
coming in and
glad you like clarified, because that was bugging me so much.
Jade's like, hold up, I got this.
I can give you an explanation behind that. Like, babies tend to be red.
Now.
I remembered the point I wanted to make before. And do you remember in the last live stream, the reason why I recommended this book was because when I was told about it, I was told that it was magical realism. And I had that expectation for it as well. So when I was reading it, I was like, I kind of understand where people would think it's magical realism, but it's really not. So that's another aspect. I was just like, oh, well.
I feel like if you just take again, as I said, if you take the miniatures bit out of it, it's going to be exactly the same. And why put it in there? I'm just a little bit confused. I'm not saying that it would do, it wouldn't be better, it wouldn't be worse. It would just be like less misleading, maybe.
Absolutely. It did feel, as Beck said, it was pointless. Like, her whole character was pointless.
Yeah, it looks like people in the comments agree too that it would have been better if the Miniaturist wasn't there and it was just purely historical fiction.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy historical fiction a lot. I just went into this, like you said, I think the reason why it was so boring for me is because it was just so lacking in any kind of magic, like any at all, for the first bit of it, that I was like, I don't even think that this is actually historical fiction. So I think that's why, for me, it was so disappointing.
Yeah, I feel like the writing style was a bit dodgy. Not dodgy, just like different. It did take me a little while to just get used to it. I feel like the first few sentences, I was literally just screenshotting and saying to like native speakers, like, does this make sense? Am I just being a foreigner here?
Oh, the first chapter?
Yeah, it was so like, what is happening?
It was so different from the rest of the book. I didn't like reading the first chapter and reading the rest of the book. You wouldn't even think that they were the same book. Like, I read that and was like, I'm gonna absolutely hate this. Like, I don't like it at all. But then getting into it, it was so different that I was like, I don't even understand the first chapter at all.
See, this is why I read mine in Lithuanian, because there's no difference at all.
Thanks for telling me, Em, that it was like better.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, like, I don't really know how to describe it, but I feel like when I read Lithuanian, the words that are used, they are much more expressive and more accurate to describe what it is that people are feeling. I feel like that's why I like to read them more, because I can feel what the characters are feeling a lot better. And I don't know, there was just like literally no difference in the tone of the story throughout the entire thing.
Someone saying in the comments that the main character was extremely shallow, and I sort of like have to agree. I went like back and forth of like being, yeah, you go girl, and then like just feeling very frustrated with her like thoughts. I don't know, her I understand that she was shaped by the society that she was living in, and the picture of what is to be a woman was very different back then. But still, at the same time, it was very frustrating just reading about it. From that perspective, I was just like, could you stop?
I agree.
I liked Marin more, and there was like no character development for Marin at all.
See, the thing is, I liked her character a lot, and I feel like she had a lot of potential, but I also feel like at the same time, a lot of the time she acted like the victim in a lot of situations, and I didn't like it because I didn't feel like she was. Like she was.
Are you talking about Nella?
No, Marina.
Oh yeah.
Like she felt entitled to a lot of things, and I didn't really like how she was bossy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of like rooting for her because I felt like she's like one of the characters that actually like stands out in the story, and like she kind of has balls like to boss around her brother in those times. But at the same time, I was just like,
I just couldn't even.
I wanted Nella to stand up to her.
Right.
But she didn't.
Yeah, she was so naive. I didn't like it. Like,
how old was she?
She's 18.
Nella.
Yeah,
no,
18.
Marin.
Oh, Marin. Oh,
Yeah.
I have no idea how old she was.
Yeah, see, because I could never place like.
Well, there's a point in time when she's talking about in the book her relationship with, I can't remember his name, the guy who tries to marry her, and they give their ages, and then later in the book they say that her husband is like 40 something. So I think she's like maybe in her 30s.
She's gonna be 33 then, because their age difference is 7 years.
Yeah. He's like 40. He's like in his late 40s, so she might be like.
Right. Yeah, like mid 30s then.
Yeah. Okay. But I think that's the one thing that I really liked about it. Like none of the characters are very well developed, but I disliked the other ones so much that Marin's the one that stood out to me because I don't know, I liked like her room, and I just wanted more information on her. Like she speaks about her room and all the maps and everything that she has, and I wanted more information on that. But I like that given the time period that they live in, what she wanted to do, like having her brother say, okay, you can't marry my sister, because Marin wanted to do more with her life. I really liked that, but I feel like I wanted her to be the main character and there be more character development for her because I didn't like Nella at all. Like,
I did find her like at the same time like problematic with her pretending to stand for the values that she obviously doesn't, and more so judging other people for doing so. But I also find that it's like added to the character, like that she's the only character that was like she's hiding something important, you know, and I kept looking forward to like what is it. I don't think that was we did get some answers, but in a very underwhelming way, so it was
like
a missed opportunity.
Why are there skulls and these crazy books and stuff in her room? Like what was was she into witchcraft? Like what was the point of that? I was really excited when I started reading it. I'm like, oh, maybe she's a witch. Like
I thought that she was like looking at pregnancy stuff, no? Maybe not.
But she had like animal skulls. Remember she had the snake skin on the ceiling and yeah.
That wasn't that for the drink that she took, the poison or whatever was that a poison? Like I was so confused.
Well, do you remember when Nella walks in and there's the big skin hanging from the ceiling?
Yeah.
Yeah. She had like really creepy shit in that room.
That's why you like her.
Well, whilst we're
how dare you out me like that, Jade?
Whilst we're on the topic of Marina, did anyone else find the part where Nella was staring through the keyhole while she was taking a bath? Because I just found that so weird because she was there for so long as well. And I was just like, why are you there for so long? Like you literally watched her take an entire bath, get out. Yeah. And then she was sitting on her bed tearing at the paper, like the love note or whatever. And I was just like, that must have taken like an hour. Like, do you not have better things to do?
Yeah.
No, she really
so much weird shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said she liked it because she was vulnerable when she was taking a bath, but that
sounds weird.
Creepy. But she was like, describing like her body and everything, and maybe we were supposed to catch on at that time that there was something, you know, like she was pregnant, but
oh yeah,
I just thought it was so
oh yeah,
weird.
that's a very good point. I remember Nella saying when she was watching her have a bath that her breasts were bigger than she thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
There was the hint. We should have known.
Did anybody catch on that she was pregnant before they were like, all right, she's pregnant? Because I didn't know.
I didn't.
Yeah, no,
But
so
now
reading
that I
her
look
describe
back,
that, I was like,
it makes sense.
I did notice that the breast comment though, but I just thought that it's just Nella being Nella.
Nella being weird.
Yeah. I mean, I get
she
her
was
frustration
pretty weird.
that she was sort of, I don't know, even to begin with, it didn't make much sense in my head that why is she there? Why is she like staying there if she sees, I don't know, it's just like...
Well, also, if you're watching somebody take a bath for an hour and a half, how do you not catch on that they're pregnant? Like, how do you not see, like, she's describing her entire body, but she sees her get into the bathtub, but doesn't, or like start to get into the bathtub, but doesn't at all catch on to the fact. Because later on, she's like, oh, she's like about ready to have the baby. I'm like, how do you not see that? If you're,
I think
like,
a lot of time passed though.
Yeah, I think it was a good like 6 months prior to
okay.
So
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if you grow breasts that quickly when you're pregnant, but
yeah. What did you think about the miniatures? What do you think about the whole part of that? Other than obviously it's not answered and stuff like that, but what are your speculations about it? How did they know what is happening?
To be honest,
it's to make speculations because we'll never know the answer. But yeah, she was a witch, whatever.
Yeah, I'm going with she was a witch.
The thing is, for me, like I was so like kind of let down with the ending that I didn't even bother making any like assumptions of what she was or what she did or whatever. Because like, why waste my time?
Yeah.
I just think it's named The Miniaturist, so we should have known more about The Miniaturist.
Yeah, like, that's what I was expecting as well.
It's literally called that.
I wish they would have like wrapped it up in some way at all. Like even if they explain it away as completely normal, something normal, which I don't know how she would do that. But I'd rather them do that than just like, oh, her name's Petronella and it might be the same person and then leave it at that. And some old guy in the workshop, like my daughter's missing. I'm like, if it's historical fiction, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like that part of it makes no sense to me. Like how she got the miniatures, how she, you know, how they knew any of that. Doesn't make sense.
She was a really good guesser.
Yeah. But I guess that the dog's gonna get stabbed. Well, and then the miniatures were changing when things started happening. Like the sugar started rotting, you know, the dog had the mark on its head. And what's his face when he got stabbed, he had the stab mark on his shoulder. So, I mean, there's obviously some sort of magic in there. Or maybe it was Mary.
But we'll never know what kind.
Well, maybe Nella is just like high on some opioids and made the whole thing up. Like, who knows?
That was one of my theories because I was just, what is happening? I like that theory. You know how I brought up that bit where, oh my God, what is her name? Cornelia?
Yeah.
With the pastry person, and she was like, I think it's happening. You know when they were like hushing and like whispering with each other, and she's like, I think it's happening again. What was she on about? Because I thought it has something to do with the miniatures. I thought that she knows. I thought that at first I thought there was some sort of plot inside the house and that they are controlling her with the little house or something.
Yeah,
I was just plotting all the way. So like for no reason.
I mean, could it have something to do with her husband being gay? Like
I thought that as well at one point.
Yeah, maybe.
Because if you remember when Petronella tries to go to meet him at work, Citronella's like, "Don't leave! Like you shouldn't go there." And then she goes and finds out, and then she immediately shows up after and like takes her out of the building. So I feel like maybe that's like with what was his name? Was his name Jack, the guy that he was sleeping with?
Yeah.
I think that's what she was saying was happening again, because then when Jack shows up later, Marin's like, I told you, or when Johanna shows up, she's like, I said to stop messing with him. Why is this happening again? So I think that might have been what they were talking about. Because I feel like everyone that is close to the family knows that he is, because later when they find out and they're talking about throwing him in the river or in the ocean, they still buy the sugar from them because they're like, you know, we knew and we're not judging about it. So I feel like maybe that might have been what she was talking about. But when I first read it, I immediately was like, something creepy is happening. And then nothing creepy happened.
I did actually like what's his name? Johannes? I could never pronounce it in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually quite liked his character before he just went back to Jack. Like, he stabbed you.
Yeah.
Not
He stabbed
okay.
your dog.
Mhm.
No.
Just no. Like, I understand you guys like love each other, but no.
Yeah.
That was weird. I felt so bad for him though. Like, the whole thing is just like the trial. Are you kidding me? I was raging all the time.
Yeah.
I'm
got
glad
so
it wasn't
angry.
a happy ending though.
Mm-hmm. I was very dreading that everything is just gonna like to turn around and everything's gonna be solved like in, you know, like the last 10 pages. So I was really glad that it wasn't. Like, it sounds cruel, but it was better that way for me than if it would be like, and then everyone lived happy life after.
Yeah, I like it when books like take the George R.R. Martin route and like they keep it real. Like, because I hated the way like Aquar ended when everything was neat bow. Like, I just like don't bother. Like, if you're gonna make something, like, do it right. Like, I'm still mad about that. Like, so mad.
I'm really glad all the babies were okay.
Let's not spoil stuff just now for people. Yeah, I don't know. I just underwhelmed, I suppose, is the main thing here.
Unsatisfied.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
But I didn't hate it, and I will probably try and watch the show.
Well, a lot of people in the chat have said that the show has done a really good job with like portraying the atmosphere of the book, which I think I enjoyed the most in this book as well. Like, when I was reading it, just because I could picture everything so vividly.
I agree. The atmosphere was the strongest part for me as well.
Yeah.
But
the atmosphere felt like it was leading up to something that never happened.
I think it's the whole miniature thing. Maybe the show is gonna actually do something with the miniatures.
I hope so. I hope they have like a different ending, because that would be cool.
What was it about the ending that you really didn't like?
I don't know. I just felt like there was something missing. Like, I just want to know more about the miniaturist in general. Like, I wanted, because, you know, I don't like open endings in general. I like a solid, like, this is what happens. Like, this is how it ends. Like, I like, you know, when everything is like told to me from fucking A to Z, and I like it that way. So, like, yeah, that's a personal preference, but, you know.
I don't have a problem with open endings per se, but it was too open. Like, the ending felt like there was no point to the book, as we've already said, because it was too open. It felt like it just finished in the middle. Like, where's the rest?
Yeah.
What did you guys feel about the writing style?
I found the style quite easy to read. Like, as we've already said, it was the pacing that was a problem. The writing style felt very basic to me.
See, but the thing is, like, for me, like, I had no problem with the pacing either. Like, especially in the beginning, I really liked the build-up. So, and I don't think I'm in any place, like, to comment on the writing style, because it is in a different language as well. And, like I said, I enjoyed Lithuanian more than the English, because, like, I went into a bookstore to compare the two, and I was just like, no, I prefer the Lithuanian, like, by a mile.
So maybe it was some bad sugar.
That's what I just read.
Sugar joke. Seriously though, just I feel like everyone agrees that the sugar was a bit too much. Like, just a little bit too much of a detail. I understand, like, include the business because it's important, but like, God.
No, yeah, like I said,
always talking about it.
A lot of page time was dedicated to things I didn't care about. So I feel like those pages that were wasted on talking about and describing sugar, I would have liked to know more about, like, what's his name? Nella's husband.
Johannes.
Yeah, Johannes. I would have liked to know more about him, because he was described as such a charismatic character who has, like, who's able to sell things, and he carries himself well, and he's good looking. Like, I just want to know more about him.
He had so much potential.
Yeah, we literally didn't really know anything about him, did we? Like, we had so little page time for him as well. And whenever he was there, obviously because it's from Nella's perspective, we can't really love him so much because he's sort of being very distant and not really explaining to her what is happening, which I thought was kind of like a crappy move because
I found really cute though. One part that I did really enjoy about Nella and Johan's relationship was when he was in the cell and she went to see him, and they just spent time in companionable silence with their heads together. Like, it was nice.
I also liked his gesture when he sent the flowers after the bird flew away. I thought that was cute as well.
I think that he was a very kind-hearted person, but I don't think that he handled it the best way. I understand that mentioning stuff like that, but it's like dangerous in those times. But you are marrying into a family, and she is going to be stuck with you, and she's a 17 or 18-year-old girl with expectations and, with romanticized ideal of family, and you're just taking that away. I felt like I felt it a bit hard to overlook that part, but I really liked his character because it was very well spoken and he seemed quite like reasonable, and he treated his sister like no other family member treated women in their families. But at the same time, I was conflicted, and I really wanted more of him. Whenever he would enter the scene, I would get a bit more excited about it, and then he would leave, and then we would like be with moody Marin talking about sugar.
I didn't like the part where when she finds out, I can't remember how it comes about, but he says, you were living on a farm and your family didn't have money, and I took you in, and now you have, everything that you want or you could want. I liked him, and then that happened, and I was like, I was confused because with Marin, he let her, try to help him and do things that normally in that time a woman wouldn't be able to do. But with Petronella, he was just like, nah, I saved you. I took you away from a crappy life, and you should be grateful. I know he apologizes for it later, but I was really confused by like the character difference. Him caring so much about his sister and then being like, yeah, you're just my wife and I saved you, so whatever. I don't like that either.
I can't remember.
See, the thing is, like, Marina, she was the one behind all of this. Like, she was the one that forced Johannes to get married in the first place. So like, she is like the person that ruined kind of both of their lives, even though she was trying to protect her brother. So I don't know, it was
so
just
selfishly though. She was just trying to protect. I don't even know if it's her brother or just herself. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know with her.
But
like,
she made it happen. She didn't have to be an asshole.
Yeah. Or a witch. That's cool.
Yeah. Either.
Wow.
That's an underwhelming end to an
feelings.
I just feel like we're all so empty after this.
We are. This book was a really different experience for me. Like, I've never read a book that made me feel like I do right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, like the more I sit on it, the more I think I was just like very, very displeased when I was reading it. But I did feel things towards the end about the characters, just for the shock factor there, really. But the more like I sit on it and I look back, it's not like I have really strong negative feelings towards it. I'm still intrigued, which is really annoying because it's a standalone. It's like, and I love open endings. I'm all for them, and I love the open ending other than the miniatures bit. Like, I love the ending other than the actual miniatures bit.
Yeah.
What about the stabby English guy?
What about him? I was talking about that a second ago.
He's my least favorite character.
Yeah, that's no.
You know what I find
Jack,
really horrible? I don't know who will actually be familiar with where Bermondsey is, but Jack was from Bermondsey, and I find it really harsh that they put him in that place that he was from, Bermondsey, because it's really stereotyping people from Bermondsey. I feel like I need to point out I have family in Bermondsey. Like, I hated that. Like,
do they walk
not all violent people? They've got a really horrible stereotype of being a violent bunch of people.
They don't have dogs.
They're not.
Everyone's just like roasting the stabby English guy right now.
I love Bonnie's comment.
I know. Bloody foreigners. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys would like to add about the book? Anything? What was your favorite part? I know we've been talking a lot of negatively about this, but what is the favorite part of yours?
For me, it was the atmosphere. Like I said, it was just like the whole kind of like air of mystery, this like unknown part of the story. And yeah, and like I said, I could picture everything so vividly and all of my senses were active. So that was my favorite part. And that's why I enjoyed the story. And also the pacing. Like I honestly had no problem with the pacing of the story at all. Other than the fact that I was just like let down at the end.
Yeah.
Taylor, what about you?
I don't know. The audiobook was so confusing to follow. And so I'm just like, my thoughts on it are just everywhere because I don't know. It was hard. The audio.
It was a hard experience. Never again. 0 out of 10. Don't recommend.
That was like my second time with an audiobook too. I think like I just can't concentrate listening to books.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
That's fair.
Especially.
Bex?
Oh, sorry. I don't remember a favorite part. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, savage.
Actually,
You're the one who told me to keep reading it.
Yeah, but you know, it got a little bit better, but I didn't like love it.
Yeah.
And I think overall, I was like really enjoying, you know, the suspense.
Where is she gone?
Oh yeah.
Here come the technical difficulties.
We lost
Like
my-
4 minutes left into like the official live stream, we started experiencing difficulties.
Hello?
Bex, are you here?
Can
Are
you
with
hear
us?
me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I don't know what happened.
Don't know either.
That's how I felt about the book, basically.
It's kind of funny because I remember, I think you read it like first.
Yeah.
And in the Twitter chat, we're like, well, how are people like finding it? Just like briefly. And people are like really struggling with the beginning. And Bex is like, oh, it's actually like, it gets better. And now it's like, I hate it.
Yeah, Bex didn't like the book so much that she left the stream. Like, that's
Again?
all, she doesn't want to talk about it.
Done with it. Oh, someone saying their favorite bit was the trial. I really did enjoy it as well. It was very interesting because it was probably more dialogue than in any other bits.
Yeah.
I liked that a lot.
I like a lot of dialogue in general in books. I feel like it just you use up the space like on the page well instead of just like I'm gonna compare it to Lord of the Rings. Like there's too much description. Like you don't need all of that description. And I feel like in this book there was a lot of description as well that just wasn't necessary. Like the sugar.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think we're 1 man down because Beck said she broke her computer.
Even the computer is done with this.
Yeah.
Someone said in the chat that they think the sugar was symbolism done badly.
Yeah. Yeah. If it was, I didn't really pick it up.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And usually I'm not too bad with like symbolism because I like to overthink shit. The only thing I could think of maybe is just sinful greed or something. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Even if it was way overused.
I would probably have to read a review that talks about this, but this particular part to actually know what the symbolism was for this. Because I honestly didn't pick up on it at all.
I want to read some sort of answer for the miniaturist. Someone needs to like answer for this.
Well, I think maybe the TV show might do a good job.
That's what I'm hoping on. That's what I'm hoping for is the TV show
I heard
explains
that in the TV show, apparently the bird comes back.
Oh,
Which is nice.
they're keeping our hearts intact.
The dog come back?
Oh my God, I'm not gonna watch that. That changed my mind. Oh my God. It was one of the thoughts that kept pushing me because the first half I was struggling a little bit. It wasn't even like I minded the writing style. It was a little bit different from like the normal just like sentence structure. It was maybe just for me because I'm not like native English speaker, but it was a little bit like it took me a little while to get used to the writing style because it was very unusual for me. but I didn't mind it. It wasn't a struggle. It was, I think, just the lack of meaning, I suppose, purpose. It wasn't. I felt like I legitimately think that if you take half of that book before the stabbing of the dog out and put it in like one page, it'd be like the same. And that's like 200 pages.
Yeah.
Oh, I just don't know. Don't know, but yeah, the fact that there is a show, I was like, I'm not gonna DNF it because I want to see the show.
I'm actually gonna read a comment in the chat because it makes a nice point. As far as why Marion had the weird stuff in her room, I think they were just things her brother found during his adventures that represented the exotic for her, things that a woman she didn't, or like she wasn't privy to as a woman at those times.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
That's so sad. I felt like she was a very sad, repressed person, like self-repressed. Society.
That explains why she was a bitch.
Yes, but
she needed to get laid. Come on, let's face it.
Yeah. I felt so sad for Otto as well when he left. It was just so sad.
Especially since Marion basically asked him to leave.
Yeah, and then he comes back and he's dead.
Surprise, you're dead, and she's dead.
It froze again.
It was just so wrong.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, Bex, hello.
Oh,
Hello.
I'm not sure I'm going to be here. It keeps cutting out, guys. Sorry.
It's okay. We're approaching the end either way. She was meant to live in a different time. Yeah. Although I do believe that obviously there were women like that.
Yeah.
In that time, you know. There was so much injustice. It's so insane.
I feel like it's women like that during all of like history that made like progress for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to read that kind of stuff.
It is, yeah. Although it was an interesting, it's just a little bit tiny bit of topic. It's an interesting comment that Logan's dad's partner made because we visited them in Norway, and then whatever she said that whenever she goes in UK, she feels like we are a generation behind still when it comes to sexism. So it's just interesting how different countries have a little bit slower than others.
I think in that situation, you need to look at Norway and how ahead Norway are to the rest of the world.
So progressive.
Yeah.
Like
No, but even like
you that I live in the United States.
Yeah, even comparing to like Lithuania and stuff.
Oh,
it's just so many steps. Like
I was actually like watching the news recently, and a psychologist was even talking about it. She was like, Lithuania is like 3 generations behind like the rest of Europe, let alone the world. It's like
it's interesting how like time moves differently in countries.
But I feel like
it doesn't help when like a country is repressed for most of the history.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like Lithuania's independence has not even it's not been that long, so that's why. And I feel like a lot of people still. Well, it's not a history lesson. Come on, let's not.
Let's not go too deep into that.
I digress. Like, just tell me to shut up.
Yeah. Anything else to add about the book? I don't know.
I think I've said all I wanted to say on this.
Another like tiny positive thing, I suppose, that there was representation, even like in such historical fiction where it was all sort of like ignored or put under the rug.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah, it was good, but I felt like it was hard to read because you're like sitting there and he's getting drowned for being gay, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah. That's the scene I found so crushing. Not the drowning, but the that too, but. The one I'm talking about, the when Otto was going to church, and then some villager starts shouting at him and like calling him names. That was
like how they called him a savage the whole freaking time.
Yeah, that was so heartbreaking.
Yeah,
that scene.
And I guess it was historically accurate, but God, it was painful.
Yeah, it was. But that's why I appreciate this book for the like not sugarcoating it.
Yeah, I was trying to
definitely.
trying to mark things in my book that I found like even slightly problematic, and every time they called him a name, I'm like, do I mark this as problematic? I'm like, not really, because it's for the time, but it like really got under my skin every single time they called him something like that.
Yeah, it was like as a person in the 21st century, it was really difficult to read that, but then you kind of sit back and you're like, well, I'm glad we've made progress, like from this type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, hey, on
sort
this
of made progress over here. Sort of.
Yeah, you guys have just taken a giant leap back, though. So.
Yeah. So I suppose we should start to end this. So the next time is what, May 28th?
28th, April 28th.
April. Sorry.
Gee.
April or May?
He's gonna miss the next one.
Literally 3 months.
G won't be here. G has to be here for the next one.
Come on, you're the host.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? So yeah, we're reading Invictus. We're gonna make videos inviting people. I'm really looking forward. Sorry?
I would like to know who the author is.
Oh, it's Ryan something.
No.
Groudon.
Something.
Bex knows it. What was it?
Ryan Groudon.
Just type it.
I'll remember. I'll go on Amazon right now.
Yeah. So yeah, we're reading that and discussing that. I don't know who's gonna be here. Everyone that is here is linked down below. I will mark it who was here with like a little star after the live stream. I don't know if the links will work. I hope they will, because last time for some reason they didn't. So I only changed them like after 2 days when I noticed the comment. Yeah, hopefully they will be fine. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming over here. It was lovely. Well done.
Thank you for hosting this.
I really am looking forward to like every 3 months to this. It's really fun for me.
We have a lot of fun here. We have a lot of fun. I enjoy this.
Yeah. And thank you for everyone commenting on the sides. Where I did read most of it, even if we didn't like, say it out loud. Yeah, so I think that's everything. Bye.